What's up, everyone? Tara Roberts here with Fantasy Pros, bringing you my top 10 waiver wire ads for Week 11. But before we get started, if you want a chance to win a signed Davante Adams football courtesy of our friends at Pristine Auction, you need to subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel right now. Comment below on this video and that's it. Make sure to turn on notifications to know when new videos drop and to find out if you've won. Now let's go ahead and dive right in. Number 10, Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren's day wasn't particularly impressive, but he's continuing to creep his way up in carries and targets, and he's someone who you can roster for the long haul. Pittsburgh is actively trying to get more touches for Warren, and Warren continues to be productive with his opportunities. Warren had 9 carries for 37 yards and 3 receptions for 40 yards. The problem is, Warren is just a handcuff right now, with low-end flex value. But here's the upside. The Steelers' schedule gets insanely running back friendly, and if Warren continues to look better than Harris, it could pay off in a playoff run. He's worth a stash. Number 9, Darius Slayton. It is time we put some respect on Darius Slayton's name. Well, a little bit of respect, because he is operating as the Giants' wide receiver 1, and while that title doesn't exactly equate to actual wide receiver 1 numbers, Slayton has had double-digit fantasy points in PPR in 4 of the last 5 games. His upside is limited because the Giants' offense runs aggressively through Saquon Barkley, who had 35. Yes, 35 carries. Daniel Jones only had 13 completions on 17 attempts. But Slayton is making the best of his opportunities and caught 3 of his 4 targets for 95 yards and a touchdown. The Giants have a positive matchup against the Detroit Lions next week, which should be a very similar game where the Giants run through Saquon and move the ball well enough to help provide opportunities for the pass game. Slayton is worth an ad. Number 8, Paris Campbell. The Colts have been on an absolutely insane ride, and it felt like we were destined for pure chaos with Jeff Saturday being named the interim head coach. But Saturday's first act as a head coach was a true blessing for fantasy managers. He benched Sam Ehlinger and started Matt Ryan, and the result was very simple. Indianapolis pass catchers are back on the table. So we will yet again go back to Paris Campbell because as long as Matt Ryan is the starting quarterback, Campbell is a usable fantasy asset. Campbell matched Michael Pittman Jr. for 7 receptions on 9 targets, but added a touchdown to make him the Colts' leading receiver on Sunday. Now the schedule ahead isn't fantastic, but considering Campbell's track record with Matt Ryan at quarterback, it is well worth a gamble to make a claim for Campbell. Number 7, Isaiah Pacheco. So I haven't really been a big Isaiah Pacheco must-be rostered kind of girl because if you followed any of my content, you know that I lean heavily on the Jerick McKinnon side of the Kansas City backfield. And I still lean that way, but the time has come to add Pacheco. The reason I haven't been on the Pacheco side before is fantasy points are earned through the air in the Kansas City offense. It's the reason that Clyde Edwards-Helaire had early season success, and the reason that McKinnon has been higher in terms of upside. Pacheco had 16 carries for 82 yards and 1 fumble on Sunday, but even without the fumble, you are looking at an 8-point fantasy performance on a good day for Pacheco simply because he does not catch passes and does not get red zone opportunities because the pass comes first. But next week, the Chiefs face the Chargers, who are notoriously awful against the run. And if you can manage to hold on to him through several rough matchups, he could be a playoff asset with a schedule that includes Houston and Seattle. Number 6, Nico Collins. Nico Collins returned to action this week after a 2-game absence and picked up right where he left off, asserting himself as the preferred target for Davis Mills. Collins had 5 receptions on 10 targets for 49 yards and a touchdown. It wasn't the most efficient performance, but that tends to happen with players who catch passes from Davis Mills. And while this might seem like a bit of a deeper ad, take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Texans. Washington, Miami, Cleveland, a tough matchup with Dallas, followed by Kansas City, Tennessee, and Jacksonville. Collins will likely be a low-end flex option through the remainder of the season and does have some upside. Number 5, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Donovan Peoples-Jones was on my waiver wire list last week as a guy that you needed to get ahead of the rush on because the matchup with Miami was set up to be a solid game, and he also has the return of Deshaun Watson right around the corner. Peoples-Jones caught 5 of 9 targets for 99 yards to lead all Cleveland pass catchers in fantasy points scored, plus over a 25% target share. The Browns have a difficult matchup against Buffalo next week, but don't let that stop you from picking up Peoples-Jones. This is his 5th double-digit fantasy point performance in PPR over the past 6 games. And while his upside is limited because he has yet to catch a touchdown, his floor is very solid, and as I mentioned, that upside could be right around the corner. Number 4, Rashad White. This would be an absolute must-add, no questions asked, number 1 waiver wire ad if it weren't for the fact that the Bucs are on a bye week. But Rashad White has been on my waiver wire list week after week, and it's because of this exact reason. White is a high upside 1-for-1 replacement of Leonard Fournette. He's been inching his way to more touches, but Fournette suffered a hip injury in Sunday's game, and the result was 22 carries for 105 yards for White. We haven't seen Fournette hit 100 yards since week 1. The downside here is that with the bye week, it's possible that Fournette is ready to go in week 12. But given the way that White performed, he'll likely continue to cut into Fournette's workload and maybe push himself above him. And if Fournette misses any time, week 12 is a top-tier matchup for running backs, and White would be an absolute start. Number 3, Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards had a week to recover after missing week 9, and John Harbaugh said that he expects Edwards to return in week 11. A healthy Edwards will reclaim his starting spot and has an excellent matchup against the Carolina Panthers. Edwards returned in week 7 with 16 carries for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns, and had 11 carries for 65 yards in week 8 before going down with the hamstring injury. Kenyon Drake stepped in for Edwards in week 9, with 24 carries for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns. And this is important to note, because it shows the level of commitment that the Ravens are keeping to the run game. Edwards should be rostered in all formats. Number 2, Christian Watson. Yes, we are immediately going to jump and take a stab at Christian Watson coming off a performance of 4 receptions for 107 yards and 3 touchdowns. We know Watson is electric, a deep threat, but with some of the strangest injuries, including 2 concussion scares, he hasn't really had the opportunity to get in rhythm. Well, that rhythm finally showed up, and we would be foolish to ignore it because back half season rookie surges are real, and this could be the start of something beautiful for Christian Watson. The Packers are in desperate need of someone to step up in this Packers offense behind Allen Lazard. Lazard had a down game, but keep in mind that was likely because Lazard had the tougher matchup. So this isn't a Christian Watson wide receiver 1 for the Packers situation. But if he can claim the wide receiver 2 spot and be a steady big play receiver for Rodgers, he is absolutely someone that you want to roster. Watson is staking his claim, and Rodgers will not forget this performance. Number 1, Kadarius Tony. I am bending the rules yet again to include a player that is just over 50% rostered in Kadarius Tony because this is also a very special situation. Tony is technically the wide receiver 1 for Patrick Mahomes now. Nico Collins is technically the wide receiver, and Juju Smith-Schuster left the game with a concussion. Marquez Valdes-Scantling did step up for his best game of the year, but it was Tony that led the way with 4 receptions on 5 targets for 57 yards and a touchdown. If Juju Smith-Schuster and Mecole Hardman can't suit up in week 11, Tony could see additional looks from Patrick Mahomes. And if he proves himself worthy and gain Mahomes, and this could stick rest of season. Thanks for watching this video. And remember, if you want a chance to win a signed Davante Adams football courtesy of our friends at Pristine Auction, you need to subscribe to the FantasyPros YouTube channel right now. Comment below on this video, and that's it. Make sure to turn on notifications to know when new videos drop and to find out if you've won.
Thanks for tuning in to the FantasyPros YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our featured videos. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at FantasyPros so you can get the latest news and updates to give you the edge you need in your fantasy league.